I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you.
It's such a great song, isn't it? And there's a gap, right? We can feel the gap between the song and between what is in time and in space. And the piece that I believe is the link is our power of faith. It is our capacity. So in Unity, we understand faith as being actually a power that we have, an ability that is our birthright. And we would describe it as being our capacity to believe, to intuit, to perceive, right? And the tricky thing about faith is, how do you believe something that you can't actually see? How do you truly believe something that you can't actually see, where the wreath feels barren, the parts of your life feel barren? And this is the practice that we're being invited to this week, and it really is the groundwork, the foundation upon which everything else in Unity follows. And so part of the question that I just want you to sit with for this coming week is, what do you believe? You know, what do you believe? As you listen to that song, where was a part of you going, well, that's a lovely dream. The song even says, you may think I'm a dreamer. Do you see that as just being a dream? Or do you believe that that might actually be possible? Can you feel the difference in that? And then the question I would invite you to ask yourself is, what would you like to believe? Because I don't know about you, but I'd like to believe that we can be a whole world. That's what I would like to believe. I'd love to be able to get past my personal fear, my own worries, my own anxieties, my own story, my own lived experience. Faith invites us to get past our own lived experience. Can you feel how hard that is? Because our lived experience is so limited. Our lived experience is so small. And sometimes we have these moments where we remember that. I've shared that when I broke my back and I was sitting in the doctor's office and the doctor looked at me and said, "You will always be in pain. You will always be in pain, and you need to just reconcile yourself to that." And I remember sitting there and thinking, oh, no, 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 no. And it wasn't my mind saying no. It was like my inner be still and know. It was my deepest knowing going, oh, no, 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 no. And I had to wrestle with the expert who is telling me something. And I had this epiphany in meditation where I realized what that doctor knew, and don't get me wrong, he was one of the best doctors in San Francisco. What that doctor knew, though, was like the equivalent of my freckle to the entire universe. That's right. That's what that doctor knew. Now, he thought that was all there was to know. But in my moment of knowing, being still and knowing, I knew there was so much more available to me. What would you like to believe? Even if you can't believe it right now, what would you like to believe? Because I want to invite you to think of faith as a state of readiness. It's about expectancy. And what is it that you are expecting? Are you expecting more of the same? Are you expecting something different? What is it that you expect? Eric Butterworth says it this way. He says, faith is expectancy. You do not receive what you want. you do not receive what you pray for, not even what you say you have faith in. You will always receive what you actually expect. Everyone breathe into that. So that's the other question. What do you actually expect? What would you like to expect? There's a huge difference between the limitations that we are living in on a day-to-day basis, the narrative that we've created of our life, the sense, I say this all the time, we're meaning-making machines. We are trying to make meaning all the time. But the data that you're using to make that meaning is like a freckle in the entire universe. So what if you can open that up? That's what faith, real faith, is inviting us into, is a state of just being expectant. Deeply, powerfully expectant and ready. So another way to think about it, if your brain needs something to hold on to, is the difference between problem-focused and creator-focused. Problem-focused means we're always looking for how things are going to go wrong. And I've talked about this before. I'll talk more about it next week. But, how many catastrophizers are there in this room? Right? Always going to worst-case scenario. Just jump in there in a heartbeat. Doesn't matter how crazy it is. It's possible. And it's interesting how we use our power of faith to go to the catastrophe. But how often do we use our power of faith to bring us to the goodness? To bring us to the thing that we actually want. We may not be expecting it, but we want it. So can we turn that into expectancy? So creators use their faith to anchor light even when they cannot see the light. When you're problem-focused, you don't see the light. All you see is the problem, the barrenness, the not enoughness, the lack, the limitation, the unworthiness. I could go on, right? When we are creator-focused, we are anchoring something even when we cannot see it or touch it or taste it. And that it's asking us to build a different muscle, right? It's asking us to access something that is internally sensing and knowing within us. So a creator focus would be grounded in possibility and limitless potential. Creator focus knows that things don't always go their way. Creators know that they can choose to see obstacles as opportunities. They trust in inner resources, and they are flexible and open to new ideas, open to a new story, open to a new expectancy. Can you feel the difference? And our world really wants us to be problem-focused. Really wants us to be problem-focused. All you have to do is turn on the news, and all it is problem-focused. And that's because it's hitting us in a primal part of our brain, which is about, we're always looking for how things can go wrong so that we can keep ourselves safe. But they've built $1 billion industry off of that. We have to work so hard in our practice to be able to counteract that. And that's what this week is really for. This first week of Advent is about consciously anchoring something else besides that problem focus. Myrtle Fillmore said it this way, because how many people in here think that they've got it, think that they're anchoring faith, and then they realize, oh no, I'm a mess. It's a mess. The world's a mess. Anybody been experiencing that lately? I'm right there with you. So that's why we come together in community, That's why we have prayer chaplains and prayer partners, and because we can't do this by ourselves. We have to lean into each other. Remember I talked last week that we're here to awaken to truth together, not by ourselves, not in isolation. We're here to do it together. And so Myrtle says, but my faith and the faith of those who could see a little further than I helped me to hold me steadfast. I reasoned that my past experiences had not been satisfying, that I could at least turn my mind to new ideas and give them a thorough trial. So if your mind needs to get on board, this is how you can get your mind on board, right? Experiment. I'm experimenting with these ideas. But I do want to say that your heart knows the truth. We might need to tweak something to kind of get the thoughts going. But what I'm really inviting you into is that embodied understanding of something. Are you willing to give it a try? If everything in your life is working absolutely perfectly, I'm going to go sit in front of you, right? But if there are places in your life where you are feeling that dissatisfaction, I call it divine dissatisfaction. It's because you're being called into another understanding, another level of truth about who you are, about what the world is. So you can bring your doubts to faith. Faith is strong enough, right? I often say to people, you don't have to find your faith. Everybody has faith already. You are exercising your muscle, your power, your capacity for faith on a daily, moment-to-moment basis. Do you have faith that your holiday shopping is going to be a nightmare? Or do you have faith that it's going to be joyful and fun and you're going to meet all kinds of different people? Where are you bringing your faith? So faith can take your doubts. You don't have to pretend. And faith can take all your questions. You don't have to silence them. All faith is really asking is that you be willing to see possibility, that you're willing to expect something new. Can you feel, sometimes when people talk about faith, they talk about, well, my faith made it happen. And I want you to just back it off a step. Your faith created the readiness. Your faith creates the container through which the creator that you are can work. Does that make sense to everyone? So all you need to do this week is work on the expectancy. Notice when you're falling into negative patterns. Notice when you're expecting exactly what has happened before. And just say, I'm willing to experience something new. You don't have to know what it is. Isn't that freeing? You don't have to know what it is. And where you start is with what you do know. No one in here is a blank canvas. There are things that you know. There are things that you know are rock solid in your life. That's where we start. But it's never where we finish. We're always being invited to grow. So Ernest Holmes says this: begin with whatever affirmation and constructive thinking you have and build on that. Refuse to dwell in darkness of unbelief. Refuse to be overcome by negative suggestions. Boldly step through the place of doubt and plant your feet on the solid rock of faith. Now, the way you know that you're not standing in faith, the flip side of faith is fear. False evidence appearing real. Faith is what allows us to know the true reality, that there is something larger than any of us can possibly begin to imagine. There is a God idea of your life, of all life, of this planet's life. That's what faith, and that you're expecting to get to discover it, to get to experience it, to get to interact with it moment by moment, surprising yourself, surprising the world. So let's take this into a time of meditation, this idea, where are you limiting possibility in your life? Where have you already decided what it's going to be from start to finish? And let's see if we can create a little bit of space. Sometimes we need to allow the barrenness. We need to allow the things we think we know to actually fall away. We need to be willing to stand in what feels like naked vulnerability. And it is from here, as we allow the window dressing of our ego, of our personality, we love our ego, we love our personality. And in this moment, we just say, oh, not right now. And we welcome that deep knowing. That which we are, that is outside time and space, that can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered. That which we are, which is the very truth of life itself. And we allow that awareness to transform, to transmute any of those places where we're holding on tightly, where false evidence is appearing real. This relationship will never work. This person is always trying to harm me. I will never have enough. I can never heal my body. Whatever the limitations are. In this moment, I invite you to just allow them to fall away so that your faith can be renewed with clarity, so your faith can be activated from a place of possibility. What is it that you truly wish you could expect? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Let us just rest here for a few minutes, allowing for that limitless potential to be in our awareness, to allow it to heal and to open and to make way so that we may be made new. Let's rest here for a few minutes in the silence. And it is from this place of deep stillness, of deep truth, that we allow ourselves to be and make ourselves ready ready for true peace, ready for more love, ready for absolute joy. Allowing ourselves to be expectant. Like Mary carrying the Christ child within her, we are expectant with our Christ awareness. Allowing that to grow within us. Awakening in every moment to the limitless potential that is our true nature, that is life itself. Anchoring faith and our capacity to be expecting. How grateful I am for this opportunity to be made new, this opportunity to allow from the barrenness of my vulnerability the magnificence of my Christ consciousness, that it may be born anew. And so it is. Amen. Ashe.